Hi, my name is Jon Bruyn from Moana Nursery. I'm here to talk about methods to water your yard in the winter. And as you know, in a 30-day cycle, if we get dry or not enough water, you need to consider watering, especially those freshly planted plants. So often we get the question of how. You can water with a thawed hose and an oscillating sprinkler. This actually imitates rainfall and it's very helpful. You just turn it up full blast and water your entire yard. And then an hour later or so, just turn it off and you're done. Another method is to charge your irrigation system and run the drip system. Run that for maybe about 45 minutes to an hour. And that would be sufficient water to simulate 1 inch of precipitation for the missing precipitation that we didn't get. Another method, which we've sort of improvised here at Reno, is the bucket method. And here we have our classic Moana bucket. And I've drilled a little hole, and it's roughly a little larger than a 32nd of an inch hole. And just fill it up. This, of course, is set next to the plant, and it dribbles out a hose. Like a little dribble out of the water. It waters slowly so it can penetrate deeply. Now, I encourage you to water this kind of a method very slowly. If you just throw the bucket of water on the plant, it's probably going to mostly evaporate. And for a perennial, maybe this amount of water is sufficient to imitate that amount of water. But for a shrub, maybe a 5-gallon shrub that was freshly planted, it would be 2 of these, maybe total of 5 to 6 gallons of water per plant, per 30-day cycle where it's deficient in water. For a tree, it would be several of these. So maybe upgrading to a 5-gallon paint bucket that you can pick up at a hardware store. And I do encourage you to think about 2 or a fill method. This works. Now, if you decide to use just your hose, this is the type of flow that you would want out of your hose. You don't want to go out and just splash them heavily with water and then call it a day 10 minutes later. You want to apply the water slowly. That will help the deep roots. Several years ago, we had a major drought, completely no precipitation. Coincidentally, that was the year I decided to measure moisture in my soil. Dug down a foot down, bone dry. Every 2 weeks, the water was drying up. The surface water was evaporating, and the plants were sucking up water at that 8 to 12 inches and deeper. So that's the importance of watering deeply, which is only accomplished in our typical Nevada soil by very slowly. Many times I've gone and seen lawns with completely saturated on the surface, dug down 1.5 feet to plant a tree, and it was bone dry at the bottom there. So that's that's the area you want to water for a deep-rooted plant, which will give you water conservation when you go into the spring and summer of the next year. When it comes to winter watering, slow is the way to go.